Sit back, relax, put your belt on, and enjoy the show.
The final game is the Blues versus the Hurricanes. So for this one, you do have Blake Gibson, who should be back from concussion, but let's be honest, he's not going to be in the squad anyway. And there's some questions about if Aotearoa could be back. They were saying this week, maybe next week. He had an absolute blinder against the Blues last time they played, scoring a couple of tries himself. He had his AC joint injury. I'm just wondering, if they could potentially try and rush him back in. Like, don't get me wrong, they've got Dane Coles. There's not that
and
big of an
Riccatelli.
issue. Yeah, but Riccatelli will get dropped. We all know that. Despite playing, yeah, I know. That's not the point. Again, Riccatelli could play wing for the Tars at the moment, but let's not get stuck into that. Aotearoa played so well against them. I do wonder if they just go, well, if he's okay, keep managing Cole's work rate because his calf seems to be made of jelly at the moment. Last time they met, the Blues 31-16 winners in Wellington. They now play them at home. This is the team that plays the most run meters, 1,838 for the Blues versus a team that runs the least, the Hurricanes, 1,324 run meters. So to me, that's just like fantasy points to one team. So, Mitch, you said your team's all Blues. I think that shapes up pretty well for you, to be honest.
Well, look, I'd like it to, but Mark Delay hasn't had the same form as last year, and I jumped him in a little early, I think. And I think Caleb Clark, we just saw the difference. He's great at running over the Wallabies and not so much the other New Zealand players. So hoping to see a bit more of them going. But yeah, that Blues backline, it's so damaging. I think if they fix up that 10-12 axis, they're pretty set.
Do you think we see a change there in the 12 jersey?
Yeah, I'd love to see TJ Farney come in.
Sure.
Straight to that 12 jersey. Taniela Talea in the 23 jersey. I think Plummer's been pretty serviceable, but you've already got two playmakers on the field. And then Plummer, for all of his, good work, I guess, at the start of the season, I think the game against the Chiefs just showed he can't do that consistently. Like those other games have sort of been anomalies. He just doesn't really have the running game or the tactical game. Like he's just in the bit of the middle there. So I'd like to see Farney coming just because he is really solid. He is a bit of a leader and can probably just direct those backs around a little bit better.
Yep. And we do assume, though, that you also want to drop Black, put Para Franchise in at 10 and Narawa at 15. Is that right?
Well, look, Parafetta is in my fantasy team as well. So does he get more at 15 or 10? Look, Parafetta, I do think at 10 he does provide a really good passing and running game as well. Like he's going to thread in the line a lot more. So if the Blues are looking to shake things up, against the Hurricanes, you can afford to do that if Auburn Ledger's at 10. So why not? I'd be happy for them to do that.
And I think Fayani's a good man to be outside him. He can, take it to the line and settle things down. So it gives Perifetta that chance to chance his arm if he feels like it. And he's going to have someone on his hip just running it hard and running it straight. And it can help, settle him.
I think the big thing for the Blues here is they just never really got into gear against the Chiefs. And I think this is the game where they need to say, okay, we are the number 2 team in New Zealand. Let's put our best foot forward and see how we can play. Aiden Ross just destroyed the Blues, with some Ta'avao and some Samasoni Takiaho as well. Ta'avao, help as well. But Aiden Ross played so well against them to disrupt that scrum. I do wonder if you might see Laulala and Hodgman. Sorry, trying to take Kagi's role. Relegated to the bench and having Carl Tui Unakwafe and Ofa Tuangafasi starting instead. What do you reckon?
Well, I'd be pretty happy with that. I think the area which the Chiefs actually did pretty well last week was in that tight 5. Like we saw the scrum dominance. We saw they were able to shut out those top 5 players pretty well. And the Blues front row, I don't know, like they've just got so much prop depth, but Talai hasn't done a great job at hooker, I don't think. And their 2 locks, they just were falling off tackles last week. Tupeloto, I think, has got pretty comfortable because he had a great season last year and just hasn't really found his form. And I know Josh Goodhue hasn't really been setting the world alight, so I'd be happy to swap him with Jared Cowley Tuioti or even the Big Sauce because he's been unreal when he's been playing.
I actually thought Goodhue's physicality has gone up a big step this year. It's interesting to hear you say that because it's just I hadn't seen that at all.
Yeah, look, I'm of a similar mindset. If you're going to get Big Sauce onto the field, I think it would be good to see him, in that 5 jersey. Good to see him in that lock and see if he, can nut it out for 80 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever it might be in the top 5. He definitely can. Look, he's also generally a really, really good finisher and a great person to bring off the bench if the match is tight. He I think that you can argue that he could actually do it from the get-go of the match, but he's so good to bring on.
The problem is the role is so different in the locks where they have to run, it's high traffic runs, which is not really his game either. He was camped out in the wing the entire end of the game.
But you got Tutu, you've got Akira, you've got guys that can do that role for him, run it in tight and take it up through that middle. So you can still play him a little bit wider.
Yeah, fair.
And he's tall enough for a line out. He's 196. He's only, a couple centimetres shorter than Goodhue. He's just so good. Get him on the paddock.
So my Blues game plan for this one is bash the hell out of them.
Yeah.
Do you see it any other way?
I don't know what else to do because I think we've seen already that the Hurricanes are just Geordie Barrett, aren't they? Like Artie Sevilla and Lamape will do the job as well, but they don't really have the well-rounded team that you probably would expect from them. And a lot of it comes down to their halves combo. I know Luke Campbell last week, I think he fell off 5 tackles. He didn't make that many. So it's just, he hasn't done a great job in the passing. He's not really a safe player, and they don't have anyone in the wings that's, ready to jump up and do that job, as well as TJ Perenara. So I wouldn't see any problem with the bashing them. The Hurricanes forwards are damaged. They had to cop a lot of tackles last week because the Highlanders had all the ball. So they're not going to be overly rested. I think all the loose 5 fell off 13 tackles combined. It's a lot of tackles missed for those Canes boys. So the Blues have the bigger pack. Just keep running.
Yeah, and look, I think, as you said, that 9-10 axis for the Hurricanes, it's quite inexperienced. It's quite weak. That could be another reason why you want Fayani at that 12 jersey. I think he's a better defender than Plummer. Yes, Plummer's not bad, I think, there, but I think he's a bit more imposing in terms of his defense and a bit more starch there. So you just want to run at that 10. You want to put that pressure on the 9 as well, and I think that'll really disrupt them.
Yeah, absolutely. For the Hurricanes, for me, the midfield is a really interesting one. There's a couple of things I really want to focus on here. First of all, it's time to give Lamape the crash ball again. I don't know why they'll put that away. It just seems like madness, especially when you got Auburn Ledger just distributing rubbish inside him. Secondly, Peter Umunga Jensen has clearly tried to pick up one of the coach's daughters because he's now gone from the breakthrough centre of 2020 to playing 9 minutes off the bench, coming on for Lamape, with Billy Proctor playing the full 80. So he's getting less and less minutes every single week. And my last point is, does this mean Billy Proctor is the second coming of Matt Proctor, the greatest centre in the world?
I was just about to say, Billy is the brother of the best centre in the world. You got to give him a chance.
Yeah, clearly.
I think, and I'm really hoping it's just this, but I know Umunga Jensen's just had the birth of his first child. I think hopefully the paternity leave has been the only reason that he's,
How many weeks?
Well, this is the thing. Like, he needs to get back out there and play and, drop the diaper duties because he's a wrecking ball. Like, he could be the real, difference for this team.
He's far better than Proctor.
I just haven't seen Proctor do anything. Like, he's
but
Alex Newsom with a better haircut.
But having said that, I never saw Matt Proctor do anything. He was the greatest centre in the world. So
True.
Clearly there's something that we aren't seeing.
Yeah, look, is there anything else you want to touch on here, Harry?
Well, Ruben Love, I just think that they need to dig the bottom of the barrel and see what they can come up with to play at 10. Ruben Love came on for Auburn Ledger for the last 6 minutes. I went back and watched those minutes just to see what they did with him. Literally, they didn't play. They had a couple of scrums and they had a kickoff. There was zero opportunity to see how they were going to use Ruben Love if he was actually going to play at 10 or if they push Geordie to the front line and push him out to fullback. So I think roll the dice. You guys aren't making finals on your current team. Get Ruben Love in there, give him a crack and just see what happens because he can't be worse.
Just start them up at 10. Just give him the ball, running hard. You don't need to worry about anything else. Just give it to him in hard, and eventually pass it out to Rayasi or someone else.
Yeah, genius.
Yeah, it's never been done before, so worth a crack. How do you see this going, Harry? What's your tip?
I think Blues are going to win it relatively comfortably. I would say by 12 points.
Yeah, it's fair. Mitch?
I think I'd probably have them around that 12 points as well. I just thought they need to come back from this and really, atone for the last 2 losses on the trot. If everything goes their way, they should win by probably more than that. I'd say, it should be 15, get more than 2 tries in the Canes. They've got the better team, but they just haven't really looked polished. And if they're chopping and changing the back line a bit, I'll just go with 12.
Yeah, look, you can't go for 12. Harry's done it, so we'll lock you in at 11 and I'll go 13 and we'll see who gets the closest.
Love it.
Yeah, fantastic.